Okay, just finishing up sanding this. Now I went over this with 320. All right, now we're going to blow off the dust because I've closed up the grain so the grain is not so coarse by putting the 320 sandpaper on my palm sander. And I've gone over it by hand and finished it up with the 320 after going over it with 80 grit, then the 320 grit to close up the grain, give it a smoother surface. All right. And if you want your coarse grain, if you want your grain coarse, go over it. Do not go use a 320. If you do, go over it by hand. And your course should stay open and coarse at that point. All right. But that will definitely finish off and smooth off this material. And you shouldn't have to put a conditioner on it. Now this is oak. All right. Oak's a little different animal. All right. Now let's blow this off. All right. Now, okay, now next step is we are going to take some lacquer thinner. All right, lacquer thinner removes any oils in the wood from prior staining. All right. So I just soak my rag. All right, let's catch the outer and go around this, both sides. Okay. Okay, now catch the face. All right. Now get the detailing in the face of this panel. All right. Now, get the other side. Okay. Again, face. And this takes off the dust, removes any oils from the previous staining. All right. It still may be hanging on and lingering in the wood grain. All right. Now, let's get the detailing on this side of the door at the finger pole. All right. And all right, so now we know that this is as dust free as it can get. All right. Always put your cap back on your lacquer. Okay, I'm going to move this sanding pad out of the way. Now, this is where those boards I made for drying your stained doors or whatever it is you may be staining. All right, I took my nail gun, my staple gun, and I ran staples through this quarter, just like 1.5 inch staple. I ran through my this 3/4 inch wood, just scrap I had laying around for the purpose of supporting these doors while they dry. It allows you to, I'm getting down in the corners here of this panel where the still might be hanging out. All right. Okay. Do a quick once over here. Still damp. Lacquer dries pretty quickly. All right. Let me see what you're seeing. Okay. Now, so you also want to make sure the dust is off your clothes first. Right now, this is ready to be stained. All right. So with no further ado, let's get to staining. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Now we are going to start the staining process. All right. Here we go. We are going to get this going. 1 minute. I'm not sure who's in the chat or who's in here at the moment. We got one in the chat. Thanks for being here. All right. So to properly prepare your wood, all right, you want to make sure you wipe it, sand it. Like I said, I took a shortcut. I went from 80 grit sandpaper to 320, okay? I've gone over it even with this 600 grit, okay? But I find just doing the 320 is efficient, but you can go the extra mile and use a 600, which you can get from an auto body supply. All the big box stores generally don't have a 600 grit, maybe on occasion. Okay, so, and really I should be using a bigger brush, all right? But I'm using what I have. And I'm going to catch this corner here first, all the way around. Make sure you lay it right into the corner. All right. These corners is where if you're going to have a problem, it's going to be in your corner. All right. And you want to make sure you have plenty of stain on your brush. Okay. Make sure it's laid in that corner really good. All right. Get it down there and wiggle that brush around to release the stain from the bristles into the corner where the tips of these, where the bristles are. Okay. All right. Now after this, I'll be sanding the cabinet itself and preparing the cabinet for this black stain, which is it's built in. The cabinet is. All right. Now the lacquer thinner the lacquer thinner helps to remove any oils in the wood, helps to remove any dust from your wood. All right. Now, I'll start here in the center and work outward. All right. Get this wet, get it plenty of stain. This looks like a paint. It dries like a paint, but this is a stain. Okay, so we're going to work it out. Make sure you have plenty here. Because in this situation, you do not want a dry brush. You want it on there liberally. Because this soaks it up. This oak soaks this up really well. Okay. And closing up the pores will help the wood grain to absorb the stain better because they're not as coarse or as deep or as open. Okay. All right. Now you want to go over this so that you don't have any pooling of your stain. All right. And if you're not careful, you can have this stain pooling, and then it will dry, and it'll take longer to dry in that spot, but it's going to look bad. All right, you'll see the pool, it'll stand out, and you'll have to sand it down and restain it. So by going over it, catching any areas you've missed. Look, you want to look at it at an angle, all right? Where you can see the light reflecting off of the wood. All right, so I'm looking at this wood. I kind of drop my head down at an angle, and I'm looking across the surface. All right. Now I'm exaggerating here so that you see what I'm talking about. But I'll stand back at a distance, all right, and I'll look at it, and I want to see the reflection of the light going across my material, and that will allow me to see any pooling or misses in case it's all blending in. All right, and that's a technique for that painters and stainers, people that paint and stain, that know. Okay, that's a trick. That's a trick of the trade. That way you can see any misses. Okay, I just caught a couple right there. All right. Now I can keep applying the stain in this area, which will cause it to be too thick. Because it starts to dry, the grain starts to suck it in or absorb it, and it starts to dry in those, look like they're dry in those areas, all right, where the grain's absorbing the stain. All right. I will do an up close and personal view here when I'm done, so that you can see exactly what it is I'm talking about. All right. Catch a straight edge right there. Bam, done. Okay. Time to re-dip this. All right. Now, I can get it over here, but just for practice purposes. All right, just come here and catch that edge. Keep it right there on that edge, all right? And you're allowing the tips of the bristles to make contact with that edge, all right? Okay, so you can see this. And if you do, if when you work, you paint the inside of your door, or you stain the inside as good as you would the outside, or if you stain the inside as good as you would on the outside of the door, your door is going to be nice. You'll have a very nice finished product if that's your goal. Okay, so now let's get this in here. Wham, and let's bring it to the edge. Bring it to the edge. Okay, bringing it to the edge. Bam, there it is. All right. I do not know who's in the chat. I'll check the chat here and I get through with this door. So if I'm not careful now, I can get an excess amount of stain, and it's going to pool. It's going to run down this edge. It's going to run down It's going to run down the outer edge. Let's see. Are you able to see? There you go. Now you can see. It's going to run down this edge. It's going to run in here. It's going to roll over and get on the face of this door. And so to prevent that, it's what we call dry brushing. All right. So on this outer edge, I'm not going to be so liberal with the stain. I'm going to have less stain. I'm going to take the stain that's on here. All right. If I need to make a second pass, put on a second coat, I will. All right. So I'm holding the brush. All right. And you just lay it back at an angle. You kind of turn your brush in so that the tip is on the outside of that edge. And you just pull right there. Let the tips catch that edge. All right. Push the stain right to that edge with the tips of your brush. Bam. See, there it is now. That's covered. I don't have to be concerned about accidentally having too much and it running over the side and then down around on the face. I don't have any of that to be concerned about, all right, because I've eliminated that by dry brushing. Somebody's here. Dogs are going off. What's good about having dogs? And if they don't interact with a bunch of people. Ah, see, that happened right here. I just noticed a dripped off my brush and then got on the face. Okay. Got it. Got it. All right. Now, that's what we don't want. Okay, now the brush is dry. There's a little bit of brush left on the bristles. All right, I'm going to come up here on this edge. I'm going to turn it to the side and inward and bring it across. What? I said what? Bang. What? Is there a snake outside? Where at?
Close to your tomatoes.
Oh, really? Who's out there watching it right now, the snake?
Your girl got scared.
Okay.
Like
all right. All right. So, yeah, we're going to go take a look at a snake, guys. This is a freebie. Who's here? Put this camera down. All right, we're going to go catch a snake. So let's see what kind of snake this is. Is it a rattlesnake? Is it a king snake? Is it the common gopher?
Don't sneak up on
See
me.
the snake?
Yeah.
Well, who's out? Who's with the snake now? It could be anywhere. We might have to search for it.
No. It's pretty good size.
Where?
Danielle, I'll show you.
It's right here. Okay, let me turn this around. Let's go see the snake. Oh, that's a nice gopher. Look at him. Yeah, I used to catch him like this. Look at this guy. He is bad to the bone. I would like to keep him. Oh no, yes I would. He is the biggest one we've had around here. Look at this guy. This is the kind I used to catch and wrap around my neck and walk into the grocery store with. Yeah, let me take my camera. Let me get a better hold on the snake so you can feel comfortable. Look how tame he is. This is a wild snake. Just caught this guy. He won't bite you. Look. He would be trying to bite me if he's going to bite. All right, well, hold on. Hold on. This guy is wild as could be, but he's as tame as can be. Look at this guy. He is nice. He's like about 4 foot. Now, he's a gopher snake. He's just like the other ones, but he's like a daddy or a mom. I'm not sure how to tell which is which. But look at her, or him. Look at this guy. He is bad to the bone. He is cool as can be.
He's trying to say, hand me the camera.
Okay, but he's as cool as a cucumber. Look at this guy. Me to try to stick him in my mouth to show you he's harmless? No? I just put his head in my mouth, you know, just to show you he's harmless.
Right up here.
Yeah, he's the biggest one yet. There, Cody.
Let's go for snake. Come here. Come right here. Got it.
Yeah, this is the
Oh,
guys.
yeah, he's big.
These
He's
are
been
the.
eating a lot of mice.
Yeah, so let's put him on the ground and let's see how tall he is. Look at his tail. So he's about a little over 4 feet. There he is. There's his tail. He's over 4 feet. If I straightened up his head would come to my cheek. See, I used to do I used to do this with them, and I'd go into the store. I'd walk into the store as a teenager, having
That's
these.
not a good time. Put that around your neck.
No, they are not. They're not a restrictor.
But I would walk into the store after the snake got too used to me, like this, and then he'd just be sitting here hanging out on my neck, and I'd be in the meat department. Women would be looking at the meat in the cold thing, and they'd see the snake around my neck and step back a few feet. I was a teenager being cool, you know.
I'm surprised you got Cody. He's like, okay.
Now that look on his face says, I'm trying to figure out, because he doesn't like me holding him next to his neck like this. You see the look on his face? See, let's look at the side of his head. See his mouth's kind of open?
Yes.
But see, this snake is cool. You see him around here? You see him around my neck?
You're lucky I'm going.
Well, babies, this is no different than the snakes I've caught before. He's just bigger. And he looks like he just shed, too. His coat is like really super clean. There. No, stay there. No, just stay there. I'm trying to get a close picture of the skin.
Yeah.
I think he just shed.
He doesn't like snakes, yeah.
Yes, but
Well, he's doing pretty good. I would love to keep this.
No.
This guy is the best we've seen yet.
you're lucky I'm holding the camera.
He's pretty good size. He's been eating good.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen any this big around here. They've always been the little babies.
The reason why he's probably near here is because of probably the tomatoes.
They don't know. They're not.
I said reason, I'm not saying he is.
No, they are not vegetarians.
I'm just
Carnivores. They're not. They're carnivores.
I don't know much about snake. I said
They're
probably.
not. They're not. This is a treat.
Oh gosh, near you.
It's going down my pants. You wanna touch him, Danielle?
Come on, Daniel. Do you like snakes, Daniel?
Tell her where.
You wanna hold it?
Okay.
Let me see if you can. Here, grab them down here. Just hold them right. Just hold it. No. Just take your hand this way. Here. See? He says, "Hi, how are you?" You can hold it like this. That's all I do. You got her holding it?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, hold on, Danielle. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. She's got him all by herself. Look at that. Snake girl. How was that?
Can I touch the top of it?
I don't know it.
I don't think
I
they
wouldn't. I mean,
will like it.
you may be able to do that, Danielle, but I don't know. That just might irritate him. No, they have little bars like in their gum.
Did you ever touch the snake, Daniel?
She just did. She held it.
Oh. Are you a big fan of snakes, Danielle?
Here, you can pet him right here.
I like it.
Is there skin? You want to take your phone? You want to take your phone? Hey, look at this guy. Is that not
Mom, you should touch it. Mom,
what big eyes you have?
you should touch it.
I have. I don't want to, thank you. I have. I don't want to.
This guy is really cool. You know, if I had an aquarium or something, I would love to keep this guy. I don't have aquarium either. I don't have nowhere to keep him. I'd love to keep him though.
Grandma, have you ever touched a snake?
You have kept my corner.
Huh.
Can we feed him?
Well,
You have to find something
I'll go
to.
buy some ice, and then if he's not hungry, he won't even eat. They have to be hungry to eat.
Yeah.
Can you see him? Turn your side. Turn your phone long ways. Yeah, that'll give you a better picture. It's like 4 feet. Who wants to say hi, Danielle? Hi.
Oh, let him go. Time to let him go.
You been holding, you said?
No, did you not?
You did not? This guy's bad. This is the size I used to catch as a teenager. It was fun walking to the store with him and taking him in and having him around my neck. Nobody really freaked out. They all handled it really well. But again, I was a teenager trying to be cool.
I don't think they eat flies.
No,
Flies?
no.
I wouldn't think so.
They will probably just eat mice. I don't
This
know.
snake, I wouldn't think so. Maybe if they were starving, I don't know. I have no clue.
It seemed like he just shed.
You want to hold them on your camera?
Jen,
Not on your camera, but when here I can put it on your camera. So just grab him in the loops where my hand is. Just hold on.
Danielle, you have more guts than I do. I wouldn't do it. Call me a scaredy cat.
Look at Danielle, the snake girl. How cool is that, Danielle? He's just crawling. You're just crawling. Danielle, listen to me. You're okay. He's perfectly fine. Take care.
Poor Danielle.
Isn't that cool? Kind of scary? Good job, Danielle. Very good. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, let him go.
You want to put him around your neck.
Let him go.
Did you hear that? Your mom wants him around her neck. You don't want to pet him? You want to touch him?
No.
Does your mom want to touch him?
Nah.
I'm done.
You're fine? Can't twist your arm?
Don't put him out in the desert where he belongs.
Think we should show him to Ginger?
Ginger already saw it.
Here, let's go inside real quick and show Ginger.
No, you're gonna give Ginger. Don't. She's about free. She saw it. Don't.
That's why
Here.
Don't put him out in the
I
desert.
already told you.
Good job. Good job. We are live. This is not Memorex.
Do not do it. Do not do it. Kenneth,
Yeah,
don't
no.
do it.
What?
Ginger! Good morning, you. Don't. Ken, don't.
What?
You
Don't.
know what?
Don't do it, Kenneth, please.
What?
Don't bring it in here.
You don't like him?
No, please do not.
This is live, not Minwax. He's just a snake.
Okay, go see now.
It's all American. He's an all American snake. See that? All American. Look at that. He is a gopher snake. Look at that. He's all American. Wrapped himself around that flagpole. Look at that. He says, I'm American. Yeah, this is the best looking snake. This is the biggest snake we've had that we've seen here on the property. This guy is cool. Look at this guy. He just goes and goes. Who's here? I'm sorry, I haven't been checking the chat. Reviewing RPM. You guys not funny. Look at him. He's wanting to go too. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
He wants to go.
Look at him. Okay, there he goes.
Nah.
My wife's over here on the couch.
Don't,
Get him.
please don't let him go on the porch.
What? He's
No,
going
he's
out
dead.
there.
He's heading out for the desert.
Okay.
Look at this guy. He is bad to the bone. Look at him. I'd love to keep him. I just am not prepared to keep him. And my wife would have a...
Yes, she would.
Gotta love carpet pythons. I'll have to send them to you.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
She has pythons. She has 4 or 5 of them. He's really
There
cool.
you
What a
go.
nice find.
You let him go.
What a nice find. I hate to see him go.
He ain't really going.
He's just chilling. He's chilling like a snake. Look at this guy. Now look at him. How cool is that? Out West Homestead. Yeah, he's like over 4 foot. Good evening there, RG. Look at the gopher snake we just caught. I just let him go. I just set him down. Look at this guy. And he's really tame. Look, he's as tame as can be.
Let the poor thing go.
You know, he's just as tame as he can be. Cool. I want to keep him, but I'm not prepared. My wife would have a fit. But I'd love to keep this guy. This is the biggest snake I've had on this property yet. It's a gopher snake. There he goes. Moving on. Yeah, he is. There's plenty of mice around here. We have owls that stay up here in our pine trees, or they used to. We've just kind of come back around recently. But I got to get back to the staining. This was a unexpected trip, I tell you. Here you go. You want to see him? I'm joking. That was a cool snake. I would love to keep him. All right, get back to the staining. Now we can do the up close and personal on the stain to show you how the grain is absorbing the stain and the how it looks dry. All right, I'm not completely done, but I have this down. Turn this around. Thank you all for being here. That was exciting. Thank you all for the thumbs up. All right, here's the door. All right, you see the dryness here. I'll have to get a pointer. All right. On my end, this here is dry looking. All right, that's where it's absorbing. Or you have just the regular wood, it's still shiny and wet, but where the wood grain is, it's absorbing it and it looks dry. God bless. Oh, yes. Good, blissful acres. Good evening, reviewing. How you doing, RG Homestead says. Appreciate you guys being here. That was really cool. All right, so I'm going to continue to stain this, starting in the middle, putting the excess here. All right. That way it doesn't run over the edge and then end up on the face of this, so it's making a mess. All right. Because you want to avoid that right there is what I'm talking about. Then it runs down on the face of it, and that's what you don't want. So I'm going to get the excess off of my brush. I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to smooth this out. Okay. I'll come back and I'll get that in a minute. But in the meantime, all right, we're just going to work this edge. Okay. This is basically dry brushing that I'm doing right now. Catching that edge. There we go. Now, I'm going to come back here. Now that my brush is dry, it doesn't have any excess, all right? And I'm just going to smooth that out. See, it's going to smooth it on out right there. Catch that edge. Let the tips of the brush run over the edge of that. See, and catch that outer edge. And just continuing to just kind of work it. Okay, with just the tips of getting it as I'm smoothing this out here. All right, and then like you can catch this edge here, the flat of the brush as well. Okay, just catching it. Okay. And just come along and get it. It's a little awkward trying to hold this camera and do this. Now I can always make a second pass, remember. Okay. And that looks pretty good. All right, continuing to work this face. Again, put the excess in the middle and work to the outer edge. Appreciate everyone for being here. Appreciate your time and the support. It means a lot. It really does. And okay, now I'm working out to the outer edge. Okay, I'm coming back here. Light, no pressure. It's just lightly making a pass across. All right, that's just kind of smoothing it out. All right, then come back here and get the edge. Okay. Now get down to that corner. All right, you just kind of pat this edge. Let me get the right angle here. All right, there you go. Okay, I don't know which, there you go. All right. And again, I haven't dipped it, just have the stain that was left in the bristles. All right, now I can just come back here and get this edge. Now, if I had a 2.5-inch brush, this should be a lot easier and it would hold more paint or more stain. So you got to keep that in mind too. It's going to hold more, which means you dip less and control the flow. See all that on there? See how heavy that is? We're going to spread that out. See? We want to spread all that excess out, and we don't want it to run over the edge. See? So we're just going to spread it out because it has a tendency to just kind of roll, see there, off the edge, and that's what you don't want. That's why you dry brush. Because you see it's ready to roll right off that edge. See, so I'm going to swipe and I'm going to come back away from that edge. Okay, pull it away from the edge. All right, and then I'm gonna spread it out. Okay, you can see the angle marks. All right, now we're just going to catch this right here. Turn this sideways. Catch this unpainted surface. Now, if I need to touch up this outer edge, okay, I put some paint on here, and I would just kind of take it and kind of apply it just by filling it in, all right? And then once it's dried, you can come back and kind of catch it this way as well. And with this, when the grain is coarser, like it before when I started out, you got to go in across the grain with the grain to make sure you cover it so it absorbs and you can fill in the grain, because the grain is coarse and it resists the stain. All right. Then I spread it out so there's no thick spots, and keeping my brush straight if you notice. And I try to overlap just like if you were mowing a lawn. Okay, got it all spread. Now let's do a close-up. Okay, no pooling. Now, when to test your grain, to test your surface to see if you have any misses, you want to look across your grain about like this. And if you look down across your material, where you can see the reflection, see the reflection here. If there was any misses, you'd be able to see it, but you're looking at it at an angle where you're coming in just like this, and you're looking across the surface. Okay? And again, sideways. You come in looking at it at an angle where you can see the reflection, like this right here. You can see the reflection across it. See? I'm moving my camera, but you move your head the same way and you look across, and that reflection will show up any misses that you may have, if you have any, or any pooling. It'll show up right here. This is where you'll see it. And this makes a difference between a good painter, a good job, and a professional job. This gives this where you're not double working or triple working yourself, just by knowing this little trick right here of looking across your painted surface. All right, you can see the reflection follows. At this angle, I change the angle. See, the reflection changes. I get the angle where I got the reflection going across my surface. See, the reflection's following, all right? You do the same thing with your head. All right, and you just follow the light. Get the right angle so the light shoots across your material, and you'll see if there's any misses, any pools, or whatever may be going on with your material. All right, and again, get the right angle. See, you can see the wood grain. You can see if there was any misses. You'd see if there was any pooling. All right, if there was any misses, you'd be seeing it right now. If there was any pooling, any high spots, you'd see it right now. See, so you look across your material at an angle. All right, see, there it is there. Across it at an angle. You do this with your head. Me, I like a hard sponge to spread it around. It looks nicer and uses less stain. That may be true there, RG. I usually use a staining sponge that you get like from Lowe's or Home Depot. But then I've made some here recently and showed people how to make these staining sponges. But see, when I put on the polyurethane, then I sand it, it'll smooth it all out. And it'll just clean it all up as the end result when I put on the poly. Now I'll show you the beauty of using these boards with the nails in them. These are finished nails. You could use screws. It would take more time, but you could do this with screws as well. All right. But I'm going to pick this board up and flip it over. The staining boards. All right, I got to get it put up here in my stand, so hold on. I got to get it set. All right. Now, this is the dry before I flip it over. All right, I got to catch this side right here. All right, this is the beauty of having these staining boards. All right, is you can, now I can flip this over. All right, you know it's wet. And I'm going to flip this over, put it right down.
Hey,
Huh.
just so you know, it just made its way over to toward Al's ladders and just kind of
Hung out. All right, now let me see what you can see. All right, in the corners, this is for those that don't know, and I just kind of roll my hand a little bit, let it pivot and spin is all I'm doing. I just take one hand, just kind of give it a little twist. All right, you lift this up and just let it twist. All right, then I'm taking my thumb, rolling it around, bam. Now you just carefully set it down. There it is. All right. Now, stain the other side. But if you want to see what it may look like so you know, all right, it's down on those nails, or actually these are staples. Lift it straight up. No, nothing shows. You wouldn't even known. All right, that's why this is so perfect. And just set it straight down. Don't slide it or anything of that nature, and you're good. And even if it did slide a little bit, it would be really forgiving. You could cover it easily enough. All right. So again, I want to catch my inside corners first. I would rather have like a 2.5 inch brush doing this. This is a little 3/4, no 1 inch, little 1 inch brush. Okay, getting those corners really good. Catching this over here. Let me make sure you can see where I'm at. Okay, it's a little far, it's too far over. Let me bring this closer. All right. There we go. Straight down as much as possible. Okay. Now, there you go. Up close and personal. So we're getting this in here. And the difference between the brush and the sponge, RG, the brush gets it into the corners a lot better than the sponge will. So actually, if you use the combination of a sponge for the wide open surfaces, all the flat surfaces, and then use your brush just for cutting in, just for the corners, for the detailing, that would be perfect. So a brush for the detailing for the corners, and then a sponge for the flat surfaces. That would be perfect. Because the sponge will get in here, but sometimes, you know, it doesn't get down into the corners and the edges, and you got to go back. This way, if you're really watching what you're doing, you'll catch it now. If you have any misses, you'll be able to get it now. You won't have to go back and catch your holidays, which is a painter's term for misses. Because if you were painting and you missed it, you got a spot unpainted in your paint, you've been on a mental holiday. So they call it a holiday where you miss. In the painting world, professional painters world. Okay. For those that don't know. All right, I got a run developing right there, see, because I had too much on my brush. And now I'm having to kind of spread it out, take off the excess paint right here, because I don't want it to run over the edge, so that's all I'm doing. Now I can take this will pick up the excess. It's on this deep thumb finger pull here, the detailing. And it's not going to run over the edge because I've carefully worked it and the brush started to absorb the excess. RG, when are you going to be able to go live now that you got your 1K? Do you know how long, have you found out how long that takes, or does it depend? Nice giveaway you had there, RG. Very nice. That was a cool looking knife. Sure somebody's going to be a proud owner of that knife. That's for sure. Okay. I checked the chat. I'll look at your response there, RG. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being in my live stream last night. More people need to be talking about this 2020 federal ID, and not enough people are talking about it, you know? Not enough. The common everyday guy is not talking about it. Preachers ought to be preaching, talking about it in the pulpit, but they're not. I think they should be, personally. Yeah, that's my girl. That's my summer breeze. Yes, it is. That's my girl. Yeah. Sound like a little old lion over there. You sound like a little lion. Yes, you do. My girl. That's my girl. Yeah, it's my girl, Summer Breeze. Yeah, that dog's a fine dog, let me tell you. Shiloh Shepherd. I can see why they use them in law enforcement and blind for the blind. And great dogs, great breed right there. Shiloh Shepherds. Hopefully by Tuesday I get through to be finished, get that cabinet inside the master bathroom sanded and stained. Hopefully by Tuesday I'm done with this. But this sure is a whole lot easier than cutting tile. Big time. Lightly swinging that, sliding that across. Okay, continuing to bring it here. I've got some iron skillets. Well, my wife has some iron skillets that I need to season up. I have my own special technique I use for seasoning iron skillets. I think my mom called them black iron skillets. I have a technique. I use butter, and depending on what it is you're doing or trying to accomplish. Okay, but I'll have to do a video of my personal technique for seasoning iron skillets. I've never seen anybody do it. It's just my own little thing that is quick and easy. It takes very little time. Very little time. It is so quick and easy. I think those people that are into seasoning their skillets are going to love my technique, because truly it's quick and it's easy. I'll have to do that here pretty soon. Using butter. Quick and easy. You don't have to put it in the oven at all. Do not have to bake it to do this, but it's the technique that I'm using. Whoops. It's got the excess running down into here, which I don't want. Come here in the center. The center. Okay, get it pretty heavy here in the center. Then I have some working material here to spread around, smooth out. Now, I haven't really shown it except when I made this, well, I sort of made this stain. I have taken black or ebony stain, and then 4 ounces of ebony stain, and then I mixed it with 1.5 cups of black or dark walnut. So this is a dark walnut ebony stain blend or mix. Okay, it's just my own little thing, my own little trick here. I needed to stretch it out. I needed more stain. 4 ounces was not going to be nearly enough. And to save a buck, based on what I know about stain and what I can do with it, I took 4 ounces of ebony stain and mixed it with 1.5 cups of dark walnut. And that's what we have here. Now I would be curious to wipe it, to cover this material like this and then wipe it off with a rag, wipe it all off, and just to see what color it would leave this door. I think it would look really cool. It'd be a dark walnut blend, but you'd have to wipe it all off. And then that would be the color you're left with. But I'm not doing that. I'm just talking. That's something somebody could do, and they would have original stain job, custom, original. Anybody feels adventurous or like they might like to check that out, see what that would look like. Be prepared to go through a lot of staining rags. You can also wet dampen your staining rag down, or your wiping rag with a little poly or a little paint thinner. When you do that as well. Okay. Now, I flip it over just to show the viewing audience what the other side looks like. Okay, I was noticing down in here it absorbed the stain, and I could see down into the wood grain, so I added a little bit more in there. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of lightly go over this carefully. Okay, spreading it out, spreading it out. Okay, I'm going to dip a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to dab this here. And I'm just going to lightly come across. And then spread it out there. Okay. I'm going to get to that corner. Bam. Okay, do my angle. Look at this. I can see, like I was showing you earlier. And that's looking pretty sweet. Looking pretty good there. Lightly coming across. Lightly spreading it across. Okay. It looks like I'm going to have to give this door just another light coat after this dries. And right here, this wood grain's absorbing it pretty good. Okay, now let's just bring it on across real light, no pressure, just the weight of the brush. Okay, check the side here. That's looking pretty good actually. Let's bring this across. Wham. Had a little bit of pooling right there at that corner. All right. Now just let the weight of the brush. Keep it right here on the finger pull. Wham. Nice. Okay, that's done. Now, I'm going to flip this over for you, the viewing audience. I'm going to take I'll show you what this looks like up close and personal. All right, this gets a little more tricky because I don't want to touch anything, so I kind of turn this. All right, and I'm turning it on the outer edge. All right, as I'm swinging my hand around, and then I'm just going to sit it down here carefully. All right. Now that was slippery because the edge is stained. All right, I can now go over that with my brush. Okay. Just catch that little area there where my finger touched. There. And over here. My finger touched it. All right, good as new. Now, let's check this out. I want you to see that where it was sitting on top of the nails, which would be in this area right here. These are staples, same as nails. All right, be right in this area. You don't see anything showing on this door. Okay, nothing is, and that's why these nails work. All right, that's why these boards work so well. And so let's catch this upper board. You see the placement of these staples. All right, these could be nails. You could use screws. You could take a board and run screws through it like this. But this is the end results. You don't see any pinholes in your stain from the nails. Okay? It just is wet and as smooth and as clear as can be. All right, there's the board. Okay, look in this area. What do you see? Bam. All right. Nothing. Nothing. Okay. So it doesn't show. It just doesn't show up. Hey, thank you for being here, reviewing, playing, and more. This all night. That's the beauty of these. In my 2 videos back, I believe, on staining these doors, I showed making these. Okay, this is just a scrap piece of wood that I shot these staples through. You could use nails, you could take screws, and you could just have a bunch of screws, coming up, and it'd be the same thing. Nails, these finished nails, using your finished gun. This is a Harbor Freight stapler nailer. It's a staple nailer, Harbor Freight. It cost me like $24, and so I use that to shoot through this 3/4 inch tongue and groove scrap. All right, and that's all it is. Nothing special. But knowing this makes all the difference in the world. This is what shops do. Reviewing, playing, and more. This is what the shops do, but they don't want you to know, Sometimes they got like a sheet of plywood, they put nails through it, or strips like this. They have them all laid out 6-8 feet long, 10 feet long, whatever. And they just go flip, 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 stain it, flip, 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 done, let it dry, polyurethane it, 320, sand it, spray it again, let it dry. But they're flipping it over, so you just spray one side, flip it over. When you're done at the end of the row, spray them all over again, let it all dry, sand them all down, you're good. It's quick. Production. But this is what the shops do. I'll show you something I'm doing right here. You glue up one door, it had a crack in it. Okay, this is my bar clamp. All right, and I had to glue right down in here. You can't even tell. But there's glue in here, and so I'm gluing that up. And so that's setting up. This distributes the weight equally across the board. That's what these are for. It also prevents this from, this metal plate here, from smashing the detailing on this finger pull right here and put a flat spot in it. It prevents it from being disfigured. All right, and that's what these are for if you didn't know. You may already know that. But for those that don't know, that's what that's about right there. Okay. That's a bar clamp. This is a 5-foot bar clamp. And that bar clamp like that is for staining up or for gluing up tabletops or tread and risers. I was doing staircases and working on custom staircases, the radiuses, And so those are coming in for gluing up your treads, risers, and that kind of thing. Or if you make a door, make a table, whatever, or you're gluing your wood up. Well, who's in the chat? Is that you reviewing, playing, and more? Danielle was brave with that snake. She'd never held one before. She did a good job. Okay. Just checking. I'm not sure. So how much do you have much woodworking type experience there? And I know you're into electronics, but that doesn't mean you haven't done anything with wood or any type of woodworking. I'm not sure what you mean by you either, as far as picking up snakes. I'm thinking you're talking about you've never picked up a snake. But I grew up where there were hills. I did construction in high school, built a model home. Okay. How long did that take you? Like half the semester? Well, I'll give you a little sneak peek of what it looks like here in my backyard. Here, I'll give you a little peek. This is what it looks like in my backyard. Okay. There's some birds land up there in the tree. But yeah. Where's that bird at? I see it. I don't see it in the camera. Just flew off. Anyways, all right, yeah. But I kind of grew up in an area similar to this in a way. I'm trying to there zoom out. It's not zooming out. My phone's jacked. Okay. So, whoa. Okay. Yeah, so I grew up kind of looking for them, catching them. I had to stop doing construction because I had issues understanding blueprints, I get. Well, yeah, but you were young. You were young then. And if you don't have anybody that's in the construction trade that understands it to break it down and explain it to you, it's a treasure map. It's hard to follow. Door opening, if it's a little ball line, it's an angle on it through an opening, but if you don't know, it's just another symbol. It doesn't mean anything. Got a call coming through. Okay, just had a call come through. Yeah, I did it for 6 months as a plumber. Okay. Well, you know that electronic stuff there, reviewing, playing, and more RPM. That's for sure. But I grew up with my grandfather in the trades, my dad as a carpenter growing up, uncles, and I kind of had to figure things out myself in general. And then Dad had a friend doing custom staircases, custom oak maple staircases, and he got all his work by word of mouth, and did top-notch work. And so I started learning with him. Sanding. Puttying and sanding is all I did. Puttied and sanded. I was 18, 19 years old. And easy work in a good environment. Yeah, my uncle was a good carpentry, plumber, and things, kind of all jack of all trades. Yeah. Well, for myself, I like to stay around, like I do the woodworking, working with the custom staircases, and starting out, like I said, I just puttied and sanded. That was it. And then you start, being shown as you start understanding and around it and observing and taking it in, and starts making sense to you. And, little by little, you're given a little more to do, as of course. And then I ended up going into framing houses, getting into doing framing type work. And then it came full circle later on in life, and started relearning how to do the stairs. And work with the guy that did custom stairs all the time. It's all he did. And started working with him on his crew. And, you know, there's just a lot to these staircases. Presently, I'm working on this house, trying to get this house fixed so we can sell it. We're moving to the south. South meaning Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, somewhere back there in that area, somewhere. Can't wait to get out of California. Can't wait. All the politics and just everything's upside down. They're taxing you for one thing and another, and they're looking for ways to tax you more. Yeah, my stairs are a bit loose. I wish I knew not to tax. I'm not sure where you're at. Are you in Canada? I'm thinking you're like in Canada or somewhere like that. Are you out of the United States? Can you call the United States? If you can call the United States, I could tell you what you need to do to tighten up your stairs. And it's just easier over the phone. Although I can shoot in the dark right now, take a stab at it. The newel, the post in the front, does it wobble? The entry post. They're called newels in the staircase industry, staircase world. If that post in the front is loose, if it wobbles, all right, it's either anchored into the concrete or it's anchored. This is the riser for your step. It's the face of your step. Okay, this is the ground. This is the face of your step, and your step's up here above it. All right, here on the riser, that newel is screwed into it. And so and there should be like 1-inch plugs. They're about so thick, about 1/4 inch thick or so. You sand it down at the bottom. You sand it down at the bottom of the newel, there on the riser, where the riser starts. From that riser down to the floor, you sand it on the face. You're looking for a 1-inch plug. No, is it clear? Do you have it painted, or is it stained, or is it just like a raw clear? Okay, you sand it down, sand the paint off of it or the stain down off of it. All right. Okay, like I said, let me see if I can prop my phone up so I can give you a physical illustration here for that particular part of it. All right. Okay. Here's your riser. This is on the floor. It's right here on the floor. Okay. Then here's your step. All right. There's your step. Your riser and step. Your newel is going to go against your riser like this. Okay. You're going to have some screws in here, and probably like down at the bottom and one up here below the top, about a 3/4 of an inch or so down, 3/4 of an inch up. And there may be just 2 right in the center. There could be 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, towards the bottom. Anyways, when you sand it down, you will see like a 1-inch plug, like here. Everywhere there's a screw or a lag bolt. There should be lag bolts. Okay? And so you just take a chisel or a punch, like a nail set punch, and you just take and you tap it and you break it so it opens it up. And you shine a flashlight in there. You should have like a 1/2-inch head if it's a lag bolt. Okay? Or 5/8, depending on the size they use. And it may just need to be tightened up. You may need to drill another hole into the newel with a 1-inch paddle bit. And you go down, about, if the newel's 3.5 inches, drill into it about 1.5 inches, and get a 3-inch lag bolt. And drill your hole with, depending on the size of your lag bolt, you know, you want your drill bit about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the lag bolt diameter of your lag bolt. Maybe even a 1/16 inch smaller. I wouldn't go more than a 1/16. That way it's a tight fit, and you tighten it up. It bites in, digs in, and holds it really firm. And you may just have to reset it. You may just need to tighten up those bolts, but if it's loose, I'm thinking it's probably needing to be replaced. And you get 1-inch plugs from your hardware. You can make them, of course. Take a jigsaw and cut a 1-inch circle, and you can make them. Use a belt sander and put a taper on it, on the outer edge, you know, and then tap them in, palm sand it smooth, just like the guy that installed it did, and restain. That's for your newel, for your starting post. Far as where your railing connects to the wall, there should be a 1-inch plug up underneath it, about 1.5 inches from the wall out. And again, you pop that loose with a nail set, break it loose, and it may just need to be tightened up in there. Does that help? Have I lost you? It doesn't show that you're in the chat if you're in the chat. If you haven't commented because I've been talking, if you're still here, reviewing, playing. Okay, there you are. All right. Cool. Yeah. The rest are solid. That's the one you mentioned, the starting post. You can call it a starting post, but stair installers talk, stair rail companies, it's called a newel. And what most people call spindles, they go from the floor up to the rail underneath, you know. The technical term or proper term or usage is a baluster. Balusters, they're not spindles on a staircase. Spindles go in backs of chairs. Spindles go in baby cribs. Spindles go in furniture. But on a staircase, they are called balusters. But that's not something everybody knows. You know, they're spindles. It's what you know. And you don't know any better. It's what you call them. But if you're going to work on your staircase, you know, then tread is where you tread, where you walk. That's the tread. The riser is the flat piece in front. It goes from the floor up. The tread sits on top of the riser because this rises, right? And then the tread sits on top of that. So it's the face, it's your riser where the newel is connected there at the bottom. And that should be all you have to do. If your hand railing's loose, then more than likely either the bolt, because it's a rail bolt. I think I have a rail bolt. Yeah, I have one right here. This is what it looks like, but it's much smaller. Or it may have something like this, depending on who installed your stairs. All right, sometimes they use something this cheap, and they put a washer on this. This is a self-tapper. All right, you see that's a self-tapping screw. That'll screw right into metal. Okay, you don't need a drill bit. You just put your socket on the end of this, and it cuts its way through. Right, it'll cut right into like 1/4-inch steel. This will. Well, they use this for doing staircases. It's quick and easy, and they come loose. Look at the threads. You know, they're not very aggressive. I mean, they're fairly aggressive, but over time this could work loose, see? And if they're using this, then you need to put in a rail bolt. This is a rail bolt. Look how coarse those screws are. All right, and then on the other end, you've got machine threading and a nut, see? Now this is like a 4-inch rail bolt here, but they make them 1.5 inches, 3 inches. 3 inches is generally what they use in general. And so you may need to get some of these, like on the handrail. That's specifically for the handrail, because this goes into the 2x4 into the wall, and then this goes through the handrail, and then you tighten up your nut and bolt and cinches up the rail to the wall, pulls it all together. So you never know. Sometimes these guys, they'll take a drywall screw. If this is your handrail, they'll take a drywall screw. Let me show if I can show you here. And they'll run a drywall screw right through the side of the rail into the wall. And then they'll do it on the other side. So you got these two screws coming in, you know, from both different angles right through the sides of your handrail. And then that gets loose. And that never should have been done. Sometimes guys get in a hurry to get it done, and they'll do that. And then your handrail will be loose as the end result. Which means at that point, to do it right, you need to take that handrail off and do it right like the guy should have done to start with, if that's the case. But it could be that maybe this bolt just wasn't tightened up enough and it's just hand loose, you know? That's all it is. It was just hand tight. Guy stuck his finger up in the hole and tightened this up to where it was snug, you know, with the washer. Maybe not a washer, with the washer. And it's just loose, needs to be tightened. You don't know. But that's why you want to kind of check it out. You can sand the bottom of the handrail about 1.5 inches back from the wall forward. You should have, like I say, a 1-inch plug. That's standard. I'll show you a plug I've made for something else I was doing. But here's a homemade plug. All right. I made that. This is 3/4 inches thick. All right, then I can take this and put this on my belt sander, and I can taper this down so it tapers inward. All right, so you can make them if you can't buy them. Just cut a 1-inch circle. All right. And you can use, for example, I could use this as a pattern if I needed to make, see a hole? That's about 1 inch. I just use that for my pattern, you know? So, or you hand draw it in. You make 1 inch, you know, spacing, and just kind of draw your circle and cut it. But anyway, so there's 50 ways to kill a cat. Skin a cat. But, yeah, if you ever have any questions about that, you know, or you're going to do it, and I don't mind giving you my number. I just don't have international calling. Is the only thing. But, you know, I'll give you my number if you ever needed to, you know, make sure. People are funny about not giving out their phone number, but I don't care. So, all right, and then if you want to call somebody and you don't want them to get your number, you do a *67, and when you call out, they won't get your number. So that's not something everybody knows. You may know that, but it's not something everyone knows. But anyways, well, I hope that was helpful. I hope this information is beneficial, or confirms what you already are aware of, or okay. Well, I appreciate you being here. You have some really good uploads. I like that cam you uploaded recently. Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad. And again, you know, if you get stuck, hit me up on my most recent video and say, hey, Ken, I need some help. And I'll go back over to your channel and leave you a message. You know, send you my email or something like that, or phone number or whatever, and we can talk. Redemption, good boy, good boy. Okay, Redemption, okay, okay, boy, okay. That's my girl. Anyways, so yeah, just let you know. All right. Well, I'm gonna call it a night. I know my wife, my mom, my wife has dinner probably almost ready, and she's getting ready to call me, so I should beat her to the punch and be in there. So again, thank you for thank you for hanging out here, for being here. Appreciate your time. And that backup, that camera for driving, for seeing behind you and everything, nice. My concern with that is in the near future, especially here in California and maybe even Canada, because they're about as bad as we are. They're looking for ways to tax you. These insurance companies are going to give you a sweet deal in the beginning if you have your own cam in your car, and you'll give you a break on your insurance for a while, and then they're going to make it mandatory. And that's where I have a problem. You know, it shouldn't be a mandatory thing. But that's my concern, is I'm afraid that, well, I believe that's where it's going to end up going if people start doing it ultimately. But I like the setup for your own personal use. Yeah, that is a great setup you've installed. The other one wasn't bad either. Yes. Well, Canada's in some ways, Canada is worse than California. In some ways, Canada is like California. I was in North Dakota, right there on the border, the Canadian border. I'm trying to remember the town that bordered North Dakota, the Canadian town. I forget the name of the Canadian town that bordered North Dakota. But anyways, I was working out of Menards and I was there for a while, and people from Canada would come in because it was half price of what it was in Canada. So they did all their materials for their building their houses and remodeling, and in North Dakota get it for half price. Because Canada was just way expensive. So anyways, all right, brother, I appreciate you being here. I enjoy your channel. You know, I just get busy with what I'm doing around here, and if I don't see somebody, you just kind of lose sight. Yeah, prices here are, yes, way crazy. I don't know, you know, if you're close to North Dakota, if you're close to where was that? I was going to get some property one time. It was in Koochiching County on the Canadian border, but it was up above Indy 500. Where's the Indy 500 at? No, in Ottawa. Okay. But anyways, yeah, so if you can get to the States and buy your material, you're way better off. So, all right, I'm going to have to say good night. Mama's calling. No. But thanks for being here. And again, if you ever have any questions, if I can help you out, I'm more than glad to help you out. If I can do a video, we can explain it like that, depending on how much time it would take. If we could have a phone call and I could explain it over the phone, I'm willing to do that. You know. I'm shutting up. Thank you. Bye for now. God bless. And never give up, cuz make it happen here on YouTube. All right, Roland. Bye for now. Bye. Reviewing, playing, and more. RPM.